Hello and welcome back everyone to PK Ideas for another how to play video. So today we'll be looking at is the king, which is basically the final piece. So the reason why we're looking at the king is because it's the most valuable piece in the game. You lose the king, you lose the game. So it's really important to protect your king during the start of the game. The first thing that we'll be doing is finding out how the king moves. So let's put a king on e4 and let's look at all the squares that the king can move to. So the king can move to all the squares which is adjacent to it, so right next to it, either in ranks, files, or diagonals. He can only move one square at a time. So here you have the king on e4. The king can travel to d5. The king can travel to d4. Can travel to d3, e3, f3, f4, f5, and e5. Now, when an opposite piece or a pawn is on the board which stops the king from moving to one of those squares, the king is not allowed to move to that square. So in this instance, the king is not allowed to move to f5. And so we place a red square over here. Now if the king does move to the square f5, then that is called an illegal move because the king can't move into check. That's the next thing that we're going to be looking at. When you have a king on the board and when the king is either attacked by a piece or a pawn, that is called a check. So let's put a king on d4 and a bishop on g7, and the bishop is checking the king on d4. Okay, now let's try another piece. Let's instead of putting the bishop there, let's put a knight on e6. See, the knight now is checking the king. So that's what a check is. Now, in terms of how the game ends, there are three possible ways that the game could end. You could either win a game, lose a game, or draw a game. We'll be looking at all those possible things later because they all involve the king. The next thing that we're going to briefly talk about is special moves done by the king. The king can do one special move during the game, and that is called castling. So here I'm going to set up, a normal type of position here with the 4 pawns. And we're going to say that the king has not moved and the rook has not moved. Now castling involves this king moving 2 squares to either the right or the left. So in this case the rook is on the right side, the king side. So moving 2 squares with the king to the right, and the rook will go over the king right next to it. So this is called kingside castling, and this is only one move. Now there are a few principles which apply to castling, which we'll be talking about once again in the I think in the next episode. So in a similar fashion, if we put the king on the starting square and we put all these pawns on e2, d2, c2, b2, and a2, and we have a rook on a1, we have queenside castling where the king moves 2 moves and the rook jumps over the king and places it to the square next to the king. So we have a king on c1 and a rook on d1. That's what queenside castling looks like. So with that being said, that's pretty much the king. I know it's a very short episode. The king doesn't actually do much during the opening and the middle game, because if you lose the king, if your king gets attacked a few too many times and gets checkmated, then you lose the game. So with that being said, it's a short video, but there is more to come with the king. There is castling in the next episode and how to win, draw or lose a chess game with the king in the episode after. So keep your eyes open for that. Please subscribe to this channel. Like this video if you liked it. Comment down below as to what you want to see or what you liked about the video. So with that being said, thank you and I'll see you next time.